Huh? Hey, do you know where you are? This is Camp Blood. You're doomed. You're gonna be doomed. Doomed, I say. Doomed. So doomed. Oh my God, you're doomed. Hey, Roger. I've never seen these kids before in my life. They came to Camp Blood. They're gonna be doomed. Oh my God, you guys are so doomed. Never saw someone doomed. Doomed. You are also doomed. 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 Doomed.
Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. Throwing out a hissy fit, your views ain't in the millions, and every up and comer is a threat to what you're dealing. And instead of getting better, you just spout up on your Facebook, crying on your Twitter bit about how bad your case look. In case you didn't get it yet, allow me to rephrase it. You cry more than my 4-year-old. I'm actually amazed. Like you couldn't even see the forest for the trees. The writing's on the wall, literally there to see. How you getting salt that a culture blowing up, man? I think there was a point where you stopped growing up, man. Instead of showing up, man, irrationally mad. Don't appropriate impression like the latest fashion fad. It isn't cool or funny to be acting like an edgelord. You alienate friends, push them closer to the edge more. I don't know how to say it anyway to make it clear. If you're the one unhappy, then the problem's in the mirror. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. The net is a repository for the vast expanses of human knowledge and all the technological advances, and I can't say enough how you gotta be open-minded. Yes, if you're looking for a fight, then you damn well find it. An axe needs grinding, you're not alone. There's a million other nerds who can bitch and moan and groan about how there's a release date delay of the new game. Man, decrease the cliche of your neckbeard. I'm a fear to the intensity of your love for two characters. You claim I've got some chemistry and they belong together. Every other ship is toast. Call you Cortez when you're like, burn the boat. Say your ship is sunk and you stunk like the blogger who insisted to you. The review versus Harry Potter versus Julia Roberts. The latter's the victor. You're about to make a victim of some asshole hipster. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult.
Hey everybody, welcome to Retro Station 1989. This is your buddy, Commander Dan, and this is License to Play. It's my series of retro reviews based on licensed video games. You know, things like movies or TV shows that got made into a video game, or superheroes, sometimes breakfast cereal mascots, or the Kool-Aid Man, maybe even a fast food restaurant or two. At any rate, that was my series last season, and as we found out last season, the reason I was making those is because some visitors from the Andromeda Galaxy, Planet X, thought we were sending them war messages. Yeah, not movies or TV. No. What they thought we were sending into space that were war messages were video games. Things like Space Invaders, or Defender, Galaxian, or Galaga, or Barbie Horse Adventure. At any rate, I have taken it upon myself to present to those aliens these licensed games to show them that we mean no harm. Well, maybe not specific harm, but Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates, definitely not what I'd call a great game. So, at the end of last season, they decided not to evaporate the planet. Big ups to me. However, they demanded that I continue reviewing these games for your safety and mine and theirs for any hidden subversive messages. There are none. But I have been able to make some demands. First was to review my favorite game of all time as this season's opener. Second, I have a little more control over the old retro station. And I do. Watch this. Yeah, elevator music. I mean, hey, it's something. Alright, so I've also made modifications, well, to Margot. Now she sounds a little bit more like a person, and I've freed up some of her cycles, so now she can, interact. A little bit more personality. I mean, I had to divert runtime from the life support systems, just the water part, and besides, who needs clean toilet water?
Humans, Commander.
Oh. Well, you know what? I'll just forego showers. It's not like I reprogrammed Margot to be able to smell anyway. Right? No sense of smell?
Thank you, Commander.
And you are very, very welcome. Today, you and me are going on a little adventure. What we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves doomed. That's right. We're going to be doomed at Camp Blood, a.k.a. Camp Crystal Lake, as we play my favorite game of all time, Friday the 13th by LJN. The game we're going to talk about today is not based on Friday the 13th. Well, it is and it ain't. See, by the late 80s when this game was created, the brand was all about Jason. But in 1980, the movie only mentions Jason in like the last 10 minutes. And there's not a hockey mask in the series until 3 movies in. Hell, he doesn't really use a machete much until part 6. See, Jason Voorhees is an icon of the slasher film, even though his character's all over the friggin' place in terms of motivation. I mean, first he's getting revenge for his mom, who killed a bunch of counselors for letting him drown, but he's really not dead, so what the living crap is that all about? But anyway, the survivor girl lopped his mom's head off, so he lopped her head off and stuffed it in a fridge. Months later, and then he came back to the camp, and wouldn't you know it, a bunch of doomed-ass campers are there, so he straps on a sack, goes on a dooming spree, and dooms the ever-loving shit out of those doomed campers. And so it goes for so many doomed souls until we get around to Friday the 13th Part 8, where Jason takes Manhattan, when the Nintendo and LJN decided what they always like to try to do and make an R-rated movie into a game for the kids. You know, for kids. And even though it's not based on any specific Friday the 13th, it's still my favorite game on the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is my favorite game on the Nintendo Entertainment System. You can keep your Super Mario Bros. 3, you can keep your Dragon Warrior or your Final Fantasy or your Little Samsons. You can keep your, I don't know, Barbie. Please, keep that one. I don't want to play it. But I love this game. It's another one of what I call LJN's misunderstood monsters. Kind of like Jaws. Whereas Jaws is an adventure game / action title with a little bit of RPG thrown in, this game is an action / adventure title with survival horror thrown in, and a little bit of strategy. So, while I love this game very, very much, I've never been successful in completing the whole adventure. But now I think I'm about ready, considering that it was my birthday very recently, that I will defeat Jason Voorhees.
Incorrect.
What?
If the entity known as Jason Voorhees existed in reality, an undead zombie, he would mercilessly kill you in 11.8 seconds.
Well, that can't be true. I mean, what if I snuck up on him in a porta potty with a hammer?
13 seconds.
Well, that's bullshit. Friday the 13th, published by LJN and designed by Atlas in February of 1989, is a side-scrolling and first-person survival horror game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. That's right, everybody. I said survival horror. Anyway, before we get to the meat and potatoes of the review, I gotta say, I love Jason Voorhees and the Friday the 13th movie franchise. It's one of my favorite series of films, and Jason's foray into gaming started before the NES edition. In fact, on the Amstrad CPC, Spectrum ZX, and Commodore 64 to be precise, in Friday the 13th, The Game by Domark. When I was 10, my buddy Mike had a Commodore 64, and he had all kinds of games. Licensed games were my favorite. Rambo, Transformers, Bruce Lee, and one he pulled from the back of his floppy case, written in red pen on a simple disc label, Friday the 13th. I was 10 and crap scared of Jason Voorhees, but I let him put the disc in anyway. It was Friday night, hot as hell in Florida, and we sat in his room as the disc buzzed and clicked, and he said something that chills me to this day. Get ready, man. There's something messed up in this game. The Domark game features Jason disguised as a camp counselor, and you manage the counselors and victims trying to save them all by getting them to the church. But some 10 or 15 minutes into our first game, this shit happened. At 10 years old. It scared the piss out of me, and since it's only a second or two on the screen, it was a hell of a punishment for losing one of the victims to Jason, and it wasn't the only horrifying screen for losing a victim. So Mike and I played that one until we finally vanquished Jason. And in 1989, almost 5 years later, Jason was back in NES form. And it was just me and him.
10 seconds.
Oh yeah? Well, what if I stabbed him in the scrot with this bad boy? Yeah! If you saw my little Karate Kid episode, you know that I snatched this out of a robber's hand with a pair of chopsticks.
14.9
Whoa.
seconds.
Oh, well, what about this?
13 seconds.
Oh, come on! Impossible. It's got... Well, this is a toy. Crap.
The rules of Jason Voorhees are simple, Commander Dan. Jason cannot be killed. Therefore, he cannot be defeated by conventional means.
Yeah. Well, Margot, what about unconventional means?
Query: what do you mean by unconventional, Commander?
You know what? I have a great idea. You watch this, and we'll be right back. Friday the 13th begins with you, the player, in control of all of the counselors of Camp Crystal Lake, also known as Camp Blood. And you've got 2 goals: protect the camp kids and destroy Jason. Now, there are 3 boys and 3 girl counselors with a spectrum of abilities. There's 2 ways to play this game. Follow the bizarre clues that may or may not lead you to victory against Jason, or you can follow one of the many guides online that show several paths to victory. Now, there's a 3rd way to play this game. You can take some tips from your old pal Commander Dan, which will only ensure that you probably won't win. So, Margot, you've got the specifications and you've entered them into the fabricators for me?
Affirmative, Commander.
Now, be sure we get the right colors. It's going to be very, very important that we don't get this wrong.
Yes, Commander. And the sweater?
The sweater? Well, looks like the sweater is perfect. Jason's going down. The game's manual gives you a rundown of the enemies called forth by Jason's return to Crystal Lake. You've got zombies, the former victims of Jason. Holy crap! There's a metric shit ton of Jason's victims around. And they're just one of the ways you get access to weapons in the game. But geez, crow, have mercy. How many people did Jason kill on the off-season? Holy shit. That's a lot of doomed people. Very doomed. Anyway, basically the rest of the wildlife around the camp is also trying to kill you. Crows, bats, and wolves, they're out for blood. It's more like you're facing off with Dracula than Jason Voorhees, really. And the last 2 things you face are Jason and his mom. Rather, his mom's floating ghost head.
Commander Dan, the fabricator system has completed your request. Printing and fabrication is complete, along with pigmentation.
Excellent, Margot. Send it on down.
But, sir...
Nope, just send it.
Sir...
Send it! All right. The small drawer? Margot.
Yes, Commander?
This is not to scale, is it?
No, Commander.
Damn fabricators! But it is painted exquisitely well. Quite a nice likeness, too. Alright, well, you know what? We make do with what we got. So, we have this severed head of Jason's mother. Fun size though it may be. And the sweater! Alright, so, what are my chances now? As a distraction. Jason, look, it's your mom's stupid, ridiculously small head. Oh, Jason, I'm totally your mom. Don't murder Dan. Tell you go do your dishes, Jason. Meh. How long then? Chances of survival.
19 seconds, Commander.
All right. Looks like we're going to have to go and try some drastic measures.
Yes, Commander.
The game is split up into 2 wooded areas, 1 cave system, and paths around the cave area, and a path around the lake, and then a giant main path around the entire camp. Along all of the paths are small and large cabins, and across the middle of the lake is the kids' cabin, which occasionally will be attacked by Jason directly. The interior layouts of all the cabins is identical. The children's cabin is just another large cabin layout. All of the interiors are explored in first-person mode. Now, the strategic part of the game is getting weapons to the counselors, protecting the kids on the lake without letting Jason kill anyone. A hard proposition, especially if you follow the notes in the large cabins or the bit of advice given before the game starts on day 1. Use the torch to light the fireplaces. Especially because you cannot get the torch until all the fireplaces are lit. But before you get as bent out of shape as I did when I realized this, months and months of my playing into the game, and later on learning about, well, how Japanese language works, let me explain a bit about the game I learned from a few sources. First, let me plug Generation Gap Gaming, and I suggest you go ahead and subscribe to his channel as well. His Secrets Revealed video on this game had a great theory about why Mr. Voorhees is purple and teal in this game, and I tend to agree with him. More importantly, he has a great walkthrough that will entertain as well as inform. His video goes over one way to play the game, and it shows a 30-minute Let's Play of him defeating Jason. Check it out. In the game, there are numerous weapons and power items to defeat Jason, which you're going to need. Let's take a look at those. First of all, stones. Your counselors begin with the most primitive and bountiful weapon nature can provide. Hint? Use them in a kneeling position to always hit targets in front of you. Otherwise, you will be super fucking frustrated. The knife. Once you found the lighter, jump around a bit and you'll get a knife. Good for the zombies and the enemies, not so great for Jason. For that, you're going to need the torch or the machete. We'll start with the machete because the torch is harder to obtain. The machete is good against the enemies and great against Jason. And to get one, you merely have to drop 60 zombies. That's it. And then, boom, you get a machete. The torch becomes available once you light all the big cabin fireplaces. It can be found at the big cabin near the lake usually. It's the one near the north of the lake. You can follow the notes, but remember, the notes only direct you to paths with large cabins. Ignore the cabins in the woods and the caves. They just represent hidden rooms, one of which in the caves you have to find with the flashlight, and the other one in the forest you have to find using a little hidden trail. Don't worry about it. Both of those are only kind of important. Then there's the axe, which you can find this on day 2 and 3, and it does more damage than the machete, but the best weapon of all in the game is the pitchfork. And you can only get the pitchfork on day 3 after slaying the head of Jason's mom, and even after saying that sentence and hearing it aloud, it is not worth it. Nor is the sweater or other power items other than the vitamins. Now, the vitamins are great, but your goal is to survive through 3 days and make sure the kids in the middle of the lake don't get reduced to 0. You've got 6 counselors. Let's take a look at these kids. Let me give you the rundown on their skills and weaknesses. Starting with the fellas. First is George. Look at this happy bastard. I call him the jock. He's slow and can't jump very high, but he can row like the devil. He's only average at throwing speed. And he's got a good damage sponge, basically, for day 2. Second is Mark. He's my favorite character. He looks like Binkley from Bloom County, don't he? He jumps high, moves fast, and throws slow, but if you have a turbo controller, that ain't no thing. Third is Paul. He's the Joe Everyman. He runs slow and jumps slow, but throws and rows fast as hell. And the ladies? First up is Laura. She's the popular one, runs fast, jumps low, but throws fast, and rows average. Second is Debbie. She runs slow and jumps not very high, but also throws fast and rows at average speed. And last is Chrissy, who is literally the best counselor. She's not my favorite, but she is the best one. Everything but rowing is either fast or top-notch, and even rowing slow, not actually a drawback, because going too fast can get you zapped by crows or zombies when you're trying to save the kids. Now that we know the strengths and weaknesses of our counselors, let's explain what to do to survive the onslaught of Jason Voorhees. Full disclaimer. My strategies never won the day against Jason completely. Well, except for day 1, that is. But basically, this is my guide for day 1 that should help you survive and possibly eventually beat the Camp Blood Slasher once and for all. Because isn't that what games are all about? Learning how to beat them? Anyway, first, whoever you pick, you're going to get a message to use the torch to light the fireplaces. When LGN localized games, they apparently didn't do a Nintendo-level thorough job of checking all of the grammar. Because Japanese grammar is read right to left, they apparently left the first instruction, because it sounded grammatically correct, the way it was on paper. use the torch to light the fireplaces. However, let's read those three phrases backward. Light the fireplaces to use the torch. And you now have the correct message. That message has caused grief for people who have ever picked up this game and didn't know what the hell was going on, and got frustrated by the opening impossible quest. All of the other messages are correct grammatically, but this one, for whatever reason, wasn't. The strategy basically is this. On day 1, use either Chrissy or Mark, grab machetes by killing zombies, and go after Jason on the road. It's easy to do with Mark or Chrissy, and remember this other tip. Entering any small cabin when you hear an alarm, you can switch to any other counselor, even ones that are being menaced by Jason. And always keep a knife-wielding counselor somewhere by the lake. I can guarantee a day 1 victory over Jason Voorhees if you get the machete. And not much else. What can I tell you? This explains my low-level survival against Jason here, and in the real world, I guess. But I'm going to change that shit. Okay, Margot, here's the plan. All right. I got these Ambien 96s. They were aboard the ship in case I ever needed to be put into a coma. I don't know what I'd ever need that for. I got some dookie wine I made out of the dirty toilet water and a bunch of grapes and figs that we found aboard the ship. And I'll have all those. All right. And then while I'm sleeping, I'll wear my Freddy shirt and think of Freddy Krueger. And then I'll try and distract Jason with the sweater and the little head. And then when I'm sleeping, I'll grab in my nightmare Freddy Krueger himself from his game. And I'll make him jump into this game. And they'll fight. And then I'll stand back and watch as Freddy slices the nipples off of Jason Voorhees, and then I'll jump him. What are my chances of survival then?
Your chances of surviving an encounter with a fictional creature by forcing a second fictional creature to battle with it while you dangle a facsimile of Jason's mother's head at them?
That's right.
Commander, it's not safe to consume alcohol and sleeping pills. I wouldn't do that.
Listen, I've got to beat Jason!
I cannot argue with that logic because you have ordered me not to.
That's right! So, of course, Friday the 13th gets the license to play. I'm going to take a couple of these old sleeping pills and drink some of this booty wine. Gotta love that. And then I'm going to lay down. Perhaps grab Freddy Krueger out of my dreams and make him go to town on Jason Voorhees' undead butthole. I think it'll work. And you know what? When we get back on Friday, next week, or maybe Sunday, depends on when I wake up from this stuff, we will review Nightmare on Elm Street for the NES. In the meantime, please remember, don't really do drugs. This is a joke. And 2, always remember to stay retro. Peace.
You're doomed.
How you getting salt that a culture blowing up, man? I think there was a point where you stopped growing up, man. Instead of showing up, man, irrationally mad. Don't appropriate impression like the latest fashion fad. It isn't cool or funny to be acting like an edgelord. You alienate friends, pushing closer to the edge more. I don't know how to say it anyway to make it clear. If you're the one unhappy, then the problem's in the mirror. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. The net is a repository for the vast expanses of human knowledge and all the technological advances, and I can't say enough how you gotta be open-minded. If you're looking for a fight, then you damn well find it. An axe needs grinding, you're not alone. There's a million other nerds who can bitch and moan and groan about how there's a release date delay of the new game. Man, decrease the cliche of your neckbeard. I'm afeared of the intensity of your love for 2 characters. You claim I've got some chemistry and they belong together. Every other ship is toast. Call you Cortez when you're like, burn the balls. Said your ship is sunk and you stunk like the blogger who insisted to you. The review versus Harry Potter versus Julia Roberts. The latter's the victor. You're about to make a victim of some asshole hipster. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. You look stupid, a real ass. When they heard your rant, the people laugh. But please stop, for abort. You're whining like you wanna win some award. You're assault adult. 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 You're assault adult.